By the end of this webinar, I hope you'll have learned three main things. Firstly, how effective marketing planning processes can be and how they can improve your exhibition performance, your results and ROI. Secondly, I've got a 7-point plan to help you attract enough of the right visitors to your stand. And finally, I want to give you an overview of all the free marketing opportunities we can provide you with to kickstart your pre-show marketing campaign. It's probably a good time just to, before we kick off properly, just to mention that this is the first in a series of 2 webinars we'll be doing for exhibitors over the coming weeks. This one's specifically focused on the pre-show phase, but the next one will focus upon what you do after the show to follow up. So I'll touch more upon follow-up a little bit later, but this one is all about the kind of things you can do over the next 9 weeks in the run-up to the show. We'll send out some more information after this webinar about the second one. So let's start off with the definition of what a successful exhibitor is. In my view, a successful exhibitor is one that knows that the competition for attendees' time at shows is limited, and competition is fierce and time is limited. With over 150 competing companies at Sign Digital UK, you need to be ahead of the game to win the battle. A successful exhibitor doesn't take a stand and just hope that attendees find them. Passing trade is certainly a benefit of exhibitions, but you can't just rely on people finding you. You have to actively target the specific types of visitors you're trying to attract. A successful exhibitor invests in pre-show marketing. It doesn't overinvest in other show expenses to the detriment of running an effective marketing campaign, and it ensures that it's already gone some way in getting on the agenda of its target visitor way before the show starts. A successful exhibitor follows up after the show with even more marketing activity. The event itself can just be the starting point for many customer relationships, so following up quickly and effectively is essential. And finally, a successful exhibitor is the one usually with a busy stand for all days of the show, and the busiest exhibitors are the ones that have implemented effective pre-show marketing campaigns. So just to back up those statements, here's some facts I've gathered for you from the exhibition industry. 83% of the most successful companies at a range of events took the trouble to invite their prospects and customers before the show. The average trade show attendee will visit approximately 26 exhibitors. 76% of attendees arrive with an agenda of the exhibitors they plan to visit. Only 3 out of 4 pre-planned, and less than 20% of exhibitors use targeted pre-show marketing campaigns. So please make sure you're in that top 20% and not in the bottom 80%. I think it used to be the case that you could get away without undertaking pre-show marketing when you attended a trade show as an exhibitor. Many visitors didn't plan their visits to the extent they all do today. But we're increasingly finding that our visitors are hungry for pre-show information, their time is limited, and they're often weighing up whether they can justify the time away from their day jobs to visit shows now. Our attendees are increasingly looking to us for ways to pre-plan their visits so that they can approach the show in a much more regimented fashion. What this means is that if you fail to market yourself pre-show, by the time you get to the event, it could actually be too late. Now's probably a good time to mention our social media communities on Facebook, Twitter and LinkedIn. Socials are going to be an even bigger feature of our own 2014 campaign than ever has been before, in order to reach out to brand new visitors who may not have attended. We've got a new PR agency on board, Fugu, more about them later, who will be taking charge of our social media campaigns. So after the webinar, please take a moment to join these communities and begin promoting what you're doing at the show. We're growing these communities all the time, so don't miss out on the free promotion. You can see all the way through the webinar that there's a hashtag, #SDUK. So whenever you're using our social communities or your own, please quote the hashtag. Okay, so we just dropped the signal there slightly, so you had an extended look at our social communities. It's not a bad thing. So let's move on to the next slide, the 7-point plan. So I'm now going to move on to the 7-point plan, which is, I've structured really to make it as simple as possible to undertake your pre-show promotion. If you follow each of these 7 steps in order, you're well on the way to having a successful show. This diagram illustrates the plan, which I'll go through in more detail over the following slides. Initially, you'll need to discuss and agree your exhibition goals and structure these into SMART objectives. Then you'll need to develop a specific and written action plan, comprising a definition of your target audience and setting out what media you'll use to deliver the audience you want to your stand. We strongly encourage you to take advantage of numerous free marketing opportunities exist, more on those later, and then you'll execute your pre-show marketing plan and follow up. So let's go through each of these steps in a little more detail. Step 1, agree goals with stakeholders. Due to the number of goals that exhibitions can be used to achieve, all too often different people within your organisation might have different and sometimes conflicting reasons for being there. The smaller your organisation, the easier it might be to agree common goals of exhibiting, but this isn't always the case. It's generally down to the number of stakeholders involved. So first step really is identifying who those important stakeholders are. Identify whom in your organisation needs to have a say and gather everybody together to start building your long list of goals. We've got just 61 days now to go until the show, so this needs to happen sooner rather than later. From this initial meeting, try and distill this long list down to a realistic short list. With face-to-face events being such a powerful sales and marketing medium, many goals can be achieved over the 3 days of Sign Digital. You can see there on the screen, you've got sales goals, customer relationships, building goals, market research, brand building, channel support, and media relations. Only you and your team will know where you want to focus your efforts, and perhaps if you only had one or two of these in mind at the moment, you can extend your current thinking into other areas. My advice would be to try and achieve multiple goals from exhibiting, as then this in itself generates the greatest ROI than focusing on one single goal. But be careful not to try and achieve too much, as then you might dilute what you originally set out to achieve. Step 2, set SMART objectives. Once the short list of goals has been drafted, then it's time to work these up into SMART objectives. I'm sure you're all familiar with setting SMART objectives, and spending time on these can make the difference between knowing what success looks like after the event and being able to calculate ROI, or just coming away with a feeling of whether it worked or not. I provided some examples of the types of show objectives you could be setting. It's really all about being able to say after the show, did we achieve that or didn't we? So you might want to think how many sales leads you want to generate. Do you want to launch a new product or solution to customers, brands and the media? How many new business contacts do you want to meet? Which of your existing customers do you want to attract? Do you want to entertain them at the show? How many top buyers do you want to demonstrate to? How many appointments do you wish to make to follow up after the show? So these are all examples of SMART objectives you can think about setting. The third step takes your SMART objectives to the next stage and gets more into the granular detail. It's all about the who, what and where of your target customers. If you've determined your specific goals and objectives, then you've probably already started the discussion about who you should be targeting. Perhaps you're undertaking a launch into a new sector and want to make a real push to attract a new type of customer. Perhaps you need to reconnect with a segment of your existing customer base. By looking at specific job functions, organization types, company size, interest categories and geography, you'll ensure that you're targeting exactly the right people, which means no wastage in marketing terms and using the time of your on-stand staff most effectively. Obviously, at an event you can attract all different types of visitors to your stand, and some exhibitors welcome all. But it's also well worth considering who you don't want to attract, as well as who you do, and then targeting your pre-show marketing accordingly. You don't want to waste valuable salespeople's time welcoming the visitors who aren't the right profile or aren't in your target audience. Decide from the outset whether you're going for volume or quality or both. Consider the size of your stand, how it's designed and how you'll be staffing it to determine whether it suits the needs of your target audience. A good way to determine your target audience is perhaps to determine what types of attendees will be most valuable based on average order value. Once steps 1 to 3 are completed, step 4 becomes a lot easier. It's almost impossible to do otherwise. This step is all about committing the initial thinking about goals, objectives and target audience into a written plan. This is often a useful step in order to play back the agreed thinking within the organisation to those stakeholders that you identified at the start, and it also enables you to gain sign-off before the pre-show marketing plan is put into place. In addition, this stage involves thinking about your marketing strategy, marketing communications objectives and your marketing tactics, plus what budget you'll be committing to all of these activities and who is actually available to manage and deploy the activity on time. Here's just a few benefits of putting together a well-written action plan. Firstly, it's a great way to begin engaging some of the people internally at your organisation who might not be involved in the planning stages of your exhibition presence, but who will be called upon to participate in achieving your goals and objectives on your stand. A good example is your sales teams. Already by attending this webinar today, it means you're outsmarting the competition. As I mentioned earlier, on average, fewer than 20% of exhibitors use targeted pre-show marketing campaigns. So if you're one of the ones who do, you can really capitalise upon the opportunity. With attendees' behaviour changing in recent years, to pre-plan more and ultimately be more choosy about which exhibitors they meet, then understanding this is going to put you way ahead. Ensuring alignment of your exhibition marketing with your corporate marketing goals means that you'll prove exhibitions are an essential part of your mix. And perhaps most importantly, the investment you've made in your stand space and the further investment you'll make over the coming weeks will be protected. Ultimately, this will all deliver you fantastic return on investment. Once your plan's written, step 5 is about selecting your marketing media. You need to determine the marketing media that's most appropriate to attract the right audience, but is also affordable within your budget. To attract visitors to the show, we'll be using multiple channels like the ones on the slide to attract thousands of attendees over the 3 days. We'll be using direct marketing techniques like email marketing, direct mail, to contact known people on our databases. But we're also increasingly using lots of inbound marketing channels like pay-per-click, Google AdWords, search engine optimization, and social media that I mentioned earlier to attract new audiences. And just basically make the awareness of the show as large as possible. From the earlier work you'll have done on setting your SMART objectives, you'll be able to determine the size and scale of your campaign to attract the optimum number of attendees to your stand, which reaches the right people. The other thing to remember is with 150 companies exhibiting at the show, your competitors and everybody in this market will also be looking to send out marketing campaigns at the same time. So make sure you're choosing channels that gives your product and brand some standout. Step 6 is where you can bolster your own pre-show marketing plan with a number of free opportunities that we offer to help maximize awareness of your company and brand with the thousands of visitors who are currently pre-registering for the show. I'll just run through these over the next few slides in some more detail. Firstly, the exhibitor zone, or what we call the E-zone for short. This is your own secure area of our website, which allows you to create and enhance your online profile, order or download free marketing materials, and do lots of other things that you can see listed there. If you haven't logged on yet, I'd really encourage you to do so straight after the webinar. You should have received your logins already, but if not, then Stacey can assist you with those. You simply go to the show website address /ezone and you'll get straight into the login page. So key actions really to focus on once you've logged in: upload a company profile, upload your company logo and a link to your website. Make sure you regularly post news within your E-zone and specify your product categories. The product categories are really important, and that's how our visitors search the site for relevant companies. So if you haven't ticked those boxes, then you'll be harder to find. So with our visitor marketing campaign, sending thousands of users to the website every week, it's really vital to tell visitors about what you're doing on our show website to maximise the pre-show interest. The e-zone is also the place to order printed or invitations to send to your customers and prospects, and download show logos, banner ads, plus order on-stand lead capture devices from our registration company. There's no better way to flag to customers and prospects to come and see you at the Sign Digital show than using the show logo on all your marketing materials along with a hashtag. Use the logo and the hashtag in your email signature, on letterhead, leaflets, brochures, invoices, website signage, in fact anything that's going to be in front of your customers and prospects in the next 9 weeks. Similarly, banner and button ads on your own website clearly signpost your participation in the event. You can link these directly to your enhanced profile on our show website, or better still, straight to our registration system. We can offer generic versions of our banners in a range of sizes or customize them with a "See Us on Stand" message to make them more hard-hitting and direct. You can use banners on your own website, partner websites, and across external advertising networks like the Google Display Network. One of our brand new initiatives for 2014 is the use of personalized URL sites or Perl sites. You might already be familiar with these technologies. This allows you to essentially insert dynamic content into a website, which can be personalized down to the individual level. We're using Perls extensively in our own visitor marketing campaign currently in order to tailor messaging and content to our target audience and to maximize pre-show engagement. I'm delighted to say that we're now able to extend Perl marketing to all our exhibitors free of charge to provide you with yet another means of inviting your customers and prospects to your stand at the event. You can either send your customers and prospects to a specific URL for your company to complete the registration details, which we'll then track for you, or if you want to take a really personalized approach, we can work with you to send your customers and prospects to their own pre-populated individual Perl site, again branded for your company. To take advantage of this opportunity, please contact me directly after the webinar and we'll be able to put some information in the e-zone shortly about this. I think the thing that struck me about working on Sign Digital UK is how engaged the media is with our show. There's great relationships with all the key media, and that's where public relations becomes really important for us. We've taken on a brand new PR agency this year, Fugu PR, and we very much work in partnership with Fugu as an extension of our in-house team. So I'd encourage all of you to engage with Fugu for the 2014 event. They're taking the lead for us with all media communications and all social media engagement. So I've put some contacts there up on the screen. There's a team of 3, Vicky Hughes, who's the MD and owner of Fugu. And we've also got Alice Johnson and Mila Bratzi. You can make contact with any member of the team at Fugu or put your own PR agency in touch. So the email address, there's a generic email address, signdigital@fugupr.com on the screen there. So you just need to drop an email to that and one of the team will come back to you straight away. So the key action really is to keep the Fugu PR team informed every step of the way about what you're doing and why you're unique, whilst understanding and responding to what journalists and the media want. News in the form of press releases is great. When you're thinking about news, please always think new when you think about newsworthy. And new actually means new. For example, a new use of technology, being groundbreaking, or being unique, or the first to do something. Just remember that simply existing isn't considered newsworthy enough, and journalists are always looking for the latest, the newest thing out there. Always try and accompany press releases with pictures if possible. For print images, the resolution of the photograph needs to be 300 dpi. Some journalists also insist on images being at least 3 megabytes in size. So just have that in mind when you're sending images to journalists, because very low res images that maybe grabbed from websites just won't reproduce well in print. Obviously for online magazines, the resolution of images is less important. Stories about sales secured at the show are loved by the press, so if you make a big sale on your stand, please make a beeline to the press office on the show floor to tell the Fugu team about it, and then we can blast that out to all of our media and all our social media channels if that's what you want. Other ways to get editorial coverage include end-user stories like case studies, thought leadership articles demonstrating your market knowledge as a company. Market facts and statistics are always loved by journalists. So a good way to maximise the opportunities for coverage is to complete the online exhibitor questionnaire as a starting point. So there's an address on your screen there, signdigitaluk.com/exhibquest. If you click on that link, once I distribute the presentation, then it'll take you straight through to a form. Just quickly complete that, and that goes straight off to Fugu. And finally, please prepare a digital press pack that can be sent to Fugu in advance of the show, and we'll use it on site. We'll be operating a digital-first press pack system in the on-site press office. So Fugu will provide journalists with access to your press pack online and your images via a secure cloud-based solution. More information about this will be sent to you closer to the show. So this is probably a good time, seeing as Fugu are going to be looking after our social media, to remind you again of those social communities and hashtag, and how effective these can be in sharing news about what you're doing and why you're unique. As I mentioned, Fugu are overseeing this, so this is even more reason to keep them informed about everything you're doing, because as well as taking all the exhibitor news and compiling it into press releases and previews, we've got those immediate channels now to push them out to our networks. And don't forget, please set up your own social media channels in order to build your following. You can undertake targeted paid advertising now on Facebook and LinkedIn, and we've found this will grow your following really quickly. And we've got more details about in the ebook. So we're coming to the end now, but so if you followed steps 1 to 6 and executed a brilliant pre-show marketing campaign, and your stand at the show was really busy with the right types of visitor, then you can move on to the all-important follow-up. It's we always feel after the show that the need to take a rest, but before you take that well-earned rest, the final stage is this follow-up period, and it's vital that this happens pretty immediately as you return to the office from the show. There's some really simple steps here I've outlined, such as measuring results back against the original goals you set, documenting this in the report. Obviously, it's really important to book your stand for next year. I mean, the earlier you book your stand, the earlier we can start marketing your presence again. Analysing all your leads is really important. Sending a mailing to any visitors you might have missed. Following through on all press releases. Making sure that any journalists you met at the show you follow up on and keep those relationships going. I won't go too much into the follow-up phase here because the next webinar is going to be all about that. But it's just to flag now that things don't stop when the show closes. So as we draw to the end of the webinar, I just want to leave you some useful links and resources. Here are links to our eZone, signdigital.com/eZone. A link to the full team contact list, so whether you need to get in contact with a member of the sales team, the ops team, marketing, PR, they're all at that address there. I've given you a link there to a website called FaceTime. This is a free exhibition best practice resources. So if perhaps you're new to exhibiting or you just want some fresh ideas about the best way to approach your presence, then FaceTime's a great site. There's lots of downloadable resources there, videos, PDF documents, best practice tips and advice, that kind of thing. And then finally, Smart Insights is a really useful website we use for anyone undertaking digital marketing. We're finding a much greater proportion now of our marketing is going through digital channels, and Smart Insights, again, is jam-packed full of resources to help you do that. So hopefully, as I've been speaking, then you've been getting some questions in to Stacey. I'm just going to leave it a minute or so, just so that we can compile those questions, and then I'll run through a few of those with you. So if there's any other questions you'd like to ask now, please start putting them forward, and we'll run through those in about 30 seconds or so. Right, thanks everyone for your questions. I'm going to run through a few of those now. Got a question here from Vicky Jarman. Hi Vicky, thanks for joining us today. Vicky said, just wondering whether we should send our press packs to Fugu or bring them along on site, I think the question is. So pre-show, certainly channel everything in terms of news, information, press packs straight through to Fugu. I think I've sort of touched on a few times. They're our lead really in terms of all the media communications work and on our social media. And we're taking, as I said, we're taking a digital first approach on our press packs. This is really because we're responding to what journalists are telling us. They increasingly want news, information, images provided to them digitally, rather than sort of having to come to the press office and gather up armfuls of hard copy press packs. Now, you can certainly still bring hard copy material to the press office. We'll have racks set up for that, but what we're aiming to do is use as many digital press packs as possible. We'll put those into a cloud-based solution like Dropbox or Google Drive, and Fugu will police access to that so that only journalists can gain access to those. So that's just something we're going to be doing this year. But as I say, hard copy press packs are fine as usual, but we would encourage you to respond to what journalists want in terms of more digital based material. So I hope that answers the question. Thanks, Vicky, indeed. A question in here from John. So John's question, we have limited time or budget, so what elements of the marketing campaign do you think are the most important to complete? Well, there's a couple of things really here. The show website really is our shop window on the world. This is where we point everybody to pre-register in the run-up to the event. So as I mentioned earlier, it's really important that your profile page is completed and up to date, along with all the product categories. You can obviously take additional advertising opportunities on the website. So again, if you wanted to raise your profile above everybody else's, then that's something you can do. And just, I guess make sure you have any company or product news and details of things you'll be doing on your stand. Again, it kind of all really comes down to shouting about what you're doing pre-show. So the more you can tell us that you're doing, we realise that some of the biggest things you're doing, like product launches, might have to be embargoed. But if you've got any particular receptions you want to promote, you've got any particular times or dates you want people to come to your stand, then as long as you can tell us, we can promote it for you. So the watchword is really let us know all of your news. Let me just see what other questions we've got coming in here. What other opportunities are there to promote ourselves apart from those in the E-Zone? Well, there are a number of paid-for sponsorship opportunities in addition to the free ones that we offer. And you can enhance your presence at the show and pre-show by buying into those. So that's sponsorship of emails. You can do Solus e-shots. You can do website banners. So if you talk to Rudy or James on our sales team or Robin, then they'll be able to take you through the paid-for sponsorship opportunities. I've got one final question here about the Pearl campaigns. How much does it cost to become involved in the Pearl campaign? The Pearl campaign is absolutely free. This is a free service for exhibitors and sponsors. It's something that essentially, ultimately, I think online invitations will replace the printed invitations that we still do and we still offer. But this, again, it's us giving you the means to invite your customers to the show. So the Pearl campaign's a free service. As I say, best to contact me afterwards and I can run you through how it works and what we need from you to make that happen. I've just got something here from Fugu, actually. Fugu just asked me to sort of mention that not to share anything on social media before we've shared it with the press because it will lose its news value. That's a really important point, actually. So whilst I've emphasised the need to use our social channels, it's best to funnel everything through Fugu first of all, and then we can potentially work directly with specific media outlets to give you exclusives on that before we share it with the wider world. So again, as I sort of repeated over and over, really use Fugu PR as the funnel for all your news and announcements, and then we can make sure a coordinated communications plan happens. Okay. On site at the show, we're going to be doing lots of social media. So again, make sure you use our channels, your channels for that. So I think it looks like we've finished here on the questions. So I think it just leaves me to take this opportunity to thank you all for attending today. Loads of you logged on in the end, so that's really great to see you here. As I say, the webinar has been recorded. We've got an ebook going out next week, so watch out for that. And watch out for the next webinar that's coming up in May. So have a great day. Thanks very much for attending.